Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Crushing with Your Tribe. And we've got a returning guest today, and we are talking about money. And sometimes we talk about making money, sometimes we talk about spending money. We're going to talk about how you can be empowered over your money. And many times we're in a financial chaos and we don't know how to get out of it. And that's where today's guest comes in. So stay tuned.
As a Texas realtor, Robin McCoy is in the unique position to meet and know so many different people in a wide range of industries. These people are her tribe, and she leverages them not only to help her business, but to help theirs as well. Welcome to Crushing It with Your Tribe, where we share real talk about building business and life relationships. Here is your host, Robin McCoy.
Hi, everybody. Robin McCoy. Welcome to another episode of Crushing It with Your Tribe. And today we have a return guest to the podcast. Lisa Marie Robinson is joining us again. She is known as the Sassy Wealth Coach, and we're talking about money. Money. Now, Lisa has over 20 years of experience in accounting, helping women manage their money with confidence to feel empowered. And, after surviving a tumultuous childhood that was filled with addiction, theft, violence, she made it her mission to help women break free from poverty, struggle, and pain. And she teaches her clients how to take control of their finances and make mindful decisions that will fuel their growth and their prosperity. And I think that is one hell of a mission. I'm just going to say it.
I do too. My whole mission is to, I want women to be empowered. I want them to stand on their own 2 feet, whether they need to or not. We were talking before we started recording about some of the things that happened and what I was going through. And, through all of that, the one thing I'm very thankful for is that I do have the money, right?
Yeah.
I could only imagine what this would have been like, 6 years ago if something like this would have happened. And I didn't actually have the money for a rental car or the money for the deductible or something like that. And, I tell my clients all the time, life happens and sometimes she's a bitch.
Yeah. And it is. Things happen.
And, and sometimes they're out of our control. Hence, my vehicle being vandalized. That was out of my control. I did everything right. I parked in a lit area. I locked my vehicle. It was all done right. And yet, the person decided to do that. But, the reason why I'm so passionate about it is because when we are empowered by our money, we're able to make decisions, whether it's grow our business or go on vacation for personal vacation, whatever it is, we're able to make better decisions because we know what's going on with our money. Right. And money is such a taboo subject, and our society has made it that way. We're not supposed to talk about how much money we make, especially when it comes to women, right? Yeah. We're not supposed to discuss those things. Why the hell not? Money is what makes the world go round. It's what provides us to be able to give back. It's what, we're able to help society. It's what pays our bills. So in my opinion, we need to talk about money.
I think we don't talk about how much we have, but we talk about how little we have.
Yes.
Right? It's, I can't afford that, or, I'm broke, and it's
negative.
Yeah, and that negative, the more you say you're broke, the more broke you're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Right? And so being able to look, and maybe you don't have as much, maybe that balance in your checking account isn't where you desire it to be or where you are most comfortable. But I like how you say empower your money, empower yourself over your money.
Mm-hmm.
And that bank account will rise.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you're aware of everything.
There's something else that I tell people too. What you focus on, you create more of. Mm-hmm. Robin, you've met me. I am in no way, shape, form woo-woo. I'm not. I'm analytical. I'm not woo, but I do believe what you focus on, you create more of. So if you're focusing on the negative, all the negative, if you're focusing on the past, that's what you're bringing into your area. If you're focusing on the positive, if you're focusing on, the future and what you're wanting, you're going to bring more of it in, and so one of the things I talk about is money stories. And money stories, a lot of people they'll complain that, this and this shaped this, and now there's nothing. Okay, yeah, you can do something about it. A story is just a story. It's like any other book, any other chapter. Turn the page and start a new chapter.
Well, and it's whenever we tell ourselves all kinds of stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Every
we
day.
tell every day about everything. And I think the first thing you have to say to yourself when you hear this story in your head, because we're telling it to ourselves, is one, is it true?
Mm-hmm.
Is it true that I am dead broke? Okay, maybe it is. Maybe you can't pay your rent next month. Okay,
Been
so
there.
yeah, right? And it's like, oh God, what am I going to do? Then it's, okay, so what am I going to do about it? Or how do I feel about this story?
Right.
And what am I going to do about it?
Right. Right.
It's not, yep, I'm broke. So let me just sit here and be broke.
and then there's a lot of times where, and I'm going to be honest, I catch myself still doing this. Yes, at one time I was broke. Yes, I was on food stamps. I was barely making ends meet. But I decided that I didn't want that to be my story. I decided I was going to do something about it. Mm-hmm. And I did. Now, did it happen overnight? No, but none of it ever does happen overnight. The thing is, though, is that I made the decision that I was going to change it. Now, do those old stories sometimes still pop up? Oh, heaven, yes. And let me tell you, this week they've been popping up like...
Especially when all of a sudden,
I've been tested.
You got vandalized. Things are stolen. You're finding things out about your insurance policy you didn't know. And you're like, what? And every one of these things is costing me another $500 every time.
Exactly.
Something else is different. It's $500 more.
Exactly. I was like, I am being tested more ways this past week. Those stories were coming up. I'm like, oh, dear Lord. This is going to cost me $500. The rental is costing me $500. Now the stuff that was stolen isn't covered. Okay, I still have to pay that off. How much is left on that? And I need to replace them, right? Because they're not my children's fault that their iPads were stolen. So
right.
Those old stories come popping up going, hot, you're broke. You're going to be broke now. You're going backwards. You're broke. See, you're having to pay $2,000, $3,000. None of it was your fault, but you still got to pay it.
Yeah.
And that's just it, though. They're stories. And so I have to catch myself, remind myself, wait, that's not my story. One, the shit that happened, I can't control. Two, I can control what my car insurance policy has going forward, right? So Lisa changed it. Lisa added car rental. I can also change how my renter's insurance looks like, which is now in the process. And then out of learning about, none of my business stuff was stolen, but it came up that, hey, I need to make sure I now have business insurance for my business equipment. So, okay, so this is what I'm going to do to protect myself going forward in an off chance that some catastrophic thing happens. Because again, I would have never pictured me being picked and my vehicle being vandalized and, damaged, but here we are.
Yeah. Well, you think you're staying in a hotel and you think you're safe and you're not, bottom line. And, but the key to this is, and I think what people, you don't think about, when people are trying to learn how to manage their money, they're learning how to do this and they're learning how to budget and they're learning how much it costs to live, right? Then figure out the rent, figure out the groceries, figure out the utilities. Sometimes they don't put that last thing in that is the unexpected thing, like a car getting broken into. You may think about a car breaking down, but you probably don't think about getting broken into. And that usually is going to, they're going to break a window, they're going to jack up a door, and then whatever else they might do or take from inside. So we don't think about that as well, right?
Well, and a lot of times we don't think about the unexpected expenses as far as, something breaking, right?
Right.
And I think we talked about this on the last time I was on. One of the things that I do, and this is one of the things that's saving me. However, in full transparency, okay, I had over $2,000 in a savings account for my vehicle. Okay. How about a month ago, I had to have work done on it, right? It was service time. There was stuff that needed to be done. And so that took a chunk of that
Sure.
2000. I had like 400 something dollars left. And then I deposited more money in there. So I've got about 800 total over the last 2 months because I put a certain amount in there every single month. Now, if you can do math, that means 800. Well, I just told you my deductible's 5 and my car rental is also over 5. Guess who doesn't have enough money in that savings account to cover?
Yeah.
Right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to that nice money management plan that I have. I call it money management plan. Some people call it spending plan. I'm going to tell you, you can call it whatever you want. Okay. Budget, money. Some people don't like that word budget. It gives them anxiety, and I get it. I don't like the word journal. Anytime I go to journal, I come to a complete stop. My brain freezes. I can't do it. I don't know why. And so all of a sudden I told my coach, I said, you know what? When I tell myself I'm going to mind a dump, I can do it.
Yeah.
Pages. But when I say I'm going to journal, I can't do it. So
it just sounds like you're trying to be too much of an author or something,
Or it's like it's too much of it, like being a journaling, like a diary.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So
Yep.
it's just too much. But when I say I'm mind dumping, and then I'm going to reframe it, it's totally in my brain. It works, right? So the same
Whatever
thing
works.
goes wherever you're going to call it. So I go to my money management plan. That's what I like to call it. I go to my money management plan, and I'm going to say, okay, the trip that me and my daughter took is now done. I have money being allocated to that. Can I tweak it and put it to the credit card? Because one of these things
That's
are
where
going on a
everything
credit
went.
card.
Yeah.
One of these things is going on a credit card, though, right? There's 800 and I got 1,000.
Yeah.
Already,
Yeah.
right?
Well, and let's back up a little bit. Let's talk about, and we talked about this the last time you were on, but let's do a real quick recap of what that money management plan is and how you have all your buckets.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how,
right.
Yeah, and this is how she coaches her clients when they come to her and say, I need help. I need help. I make money, but I don't ever seem to know where it is or how much I have. So talk a little bit about those buckets. Are you looking to buy or sell a home in the bustling DFW area? Look no further, because I am Robin McCoy, your trusted real estate agent with Keller Williams Realty. For over 15 years, I've been helping buyers and sellers navigate the real estate market here in DFW. So whether you're looking for your dream home or aiming to sell your property for the best price, relax. I got this. As a seasoned professional, I'll guide you through the entire process, ensuring a smooth and stress-free experience. I understand that buying or selling a home can be a significant decision. That's why I pride myself on providing exceptional customer service. I'll be with you every step of the way, answering your questions and addressing your concerns. So why take a chance with just any real estate agent? Choose me, Robin McCoy, the professional who has proven my excellence in helping both buyers and sellers in the DFW area for over 15 years. Call me today at 214-226-3770 or visit my website at robinmccoyrealty.com. Let's make your DFW real estate dreams come true. Relax. I got this.
Right.
Talk a little bit about those buckets.
I call them, I don't know if you remember the envelopes. I'm old enough to remember the envelopes.
Dave Ramsey envelopes?
Yes. And I personally don't agree with majority of what he says. However, I did love the cash envelopes. That was back in the day before we had debit cards and all that.
We can move our money electronically.
Yeah, you had to literally go cash your check and pay. Yeah. That shows how old we are, right?
We're just more wise. That's all. It's wisdom.
That you know what? That's right. But what I love about what I've done is it's virtual, right? So I create a lot of people will have just one account and they'll call it emergency savings or rainy day savings. But what that does to our brain is anything can go under that scope, right? So what I've done is I created specific savings accounts for specific things. So they're like virtual buckets. They're not going into savings account to gain interest. That's not what my purpose is. They're basically holding accounts. They're savings accounts because I open them up with Capital One. They're totally free. I can have what I want, and there's no minimum balance. And then I purposely nicknamed them. Okay, so I have one that is it's called Lisa's Fitness, and then I have one that's called Vehicle. I have one that because I'm saving for a house, so it's a house savings. And then I have multiple of different ones. The vehicle savings, I never really accounted for the deductible. I will be now. Tweaking again. But I accounted for like my tires, my oil change. I live in South Carolina, so we have to pay property tax on our vehicle every year. So I accounted for that. So there's money that goes in there in each month allocated, and it's on my money management plan, says how much each month should go to that vehicle savings, right? And then I have one that's for my girls, so like for school. And for their life insurance. And so that's another bucket. And so what I tell my clients is look at all the one-off stuff that you like to spend things on, or some things you spend on. And, I have one that's called Lisa's Spending. So that's anytime I want anything extra, is there money in that account? If there's not money in that account, then I don't get to go buy the extra.
Right.
I also created one just recently that's called Out to Eat. And it is because when I did a quarterly check-in on my spending, oh dear God, I had some girls that we were nilching this in the bud really quick.
Yeah.
And so I added how much per month was going to go into that account. I created that account. And now my girls know not to ask, Mommy, you got money to go out? Mommy, is there money in the Out to Eat account for us to go out? Because if there's money in that account,
kids.
If there's money in that account, we go out to eat. If there's not money in that account, we don't. And so they, they're learning. That's how I was able to save for that entire trip that Heather and I went on into Seattle. And for full transparency, the vehicle vandalism happened the night before our flight.
Right.
Okay. And so the first thing my little girl asks me is, Mommy, is this going to ruin our trip? No.
Nope.
Because there was a bucket and there was money all allocated for that. And I didn't care what the hell all this was going to cost.
We'll figure that out later.
Right. Money had been allocated in that bucket called Heather's Seattle trip. So I name it. I'm very specific on what they're for, because then when you go to look at it, your brain goes, oh, I can't use that for that. That's for that. It's very visual, and our brain goes, oh, I can't touch that because that's for this. That's why I don't say don't do just general vacation, right? What's the next vacation you want to take? And that's what you nickname it. And then once you go on that one, right? So some people go on vacation every year, right? Nickname it that specific thing, go on that. And then the next year, whatever vacation you're going to go on, change the nickname to that, because it tells your brain this money is specifically for this.
Yeah, it's like this. This is not just a vacation. This is the cruise vacation,
right,
to the Caribbean or to Alaska, or this is our European trip, or our trip to the Smoky Mountains, or whatever it is. Because I think oftentimes we get caught up in I've got all this money in this general savings account. I'm saving money, and I want to buy a house. I'm going to use that one because I'm a realtor. So I'm saving for a house.
I am saving for a house.
Good for you. That's the next big thing, right?
I'm trying.
Oh, rent is ridiculous, but that's another story. But then, we had to pull out of our house account because I had to get new tires, or I pulled out of my house account because my friends were going on vacation and I wanted to go too. And it comes down to, what do you want more? And making those decisions.
Yeah, this is how I do it. Okay. I did not start, I'm going to be honest, I have probably about 12 to 15 personal savings accounts. We're not talking about my business. We're talking about personal.
Did y'all hear that? 12 personal savings accounts. 12.
Yeah, 12.
Okay, go ahead.
But I didn't start off that way, right? Because good Lord, that would have overwhelmed me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I started off with 2, right? I had my girls, which is for their school, and I had my vehicle. Those were the 2 I started off with. Then we decided, okay, we want to do a vacation. So I said, okay, where? And I created that one. Last year, we created summer fund as we decided how much money we spent during the summer when they're out of school. We need to have a separate fund for that because I saw how much we spent on the credit card, right? And we were able to pay it, but I was like, this would be better if we just have an account allocated for just that. So we created that. And then from there, more accounts were gradually created. So I tell people all the time to make your list, right? Like vehicle, if you have a house, if you own a house, you should still have a house savings. That should be for any emergency that happens.
Because things break in houses all the time.
Hello, you want me to tell you why I had to touch my house savings? Because my stand-up freezer died. And we have a old refrigerator. My landlord has an old refrigerator with a little tiny box freezer. And then I had a stand-up freezer. My stand-up freezer died. We crammed so much stuff in that little small box freezer. That small box freezer wasn't keeping the shit frozen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we had to get a freezer like now because there are 4 people in the house and that little box freezer wasn't cutting it. And so I had to touch $1,500 that was in that money in that account to get the freezer. And, we weren't accounting for something like that, right? Because I wasn't thinking about that. My house savings was to buy a house.
Right.
So there's something that now I created was another one that basically I call it, how did I name it to separate? I think it was house equipment. So it's basically like if something goes on in the house here. So like my washing machine, my dryer, the freezer, because everything else the landlord will cover, but my washer and dryer and my freezer, they won't. So it didn't have to be big, but I still wanted to be separate from what I'm saving to buy a house.
Because even if you have $1,000 in there and you just leave it at 1,000, then even if it was 1,500, it was then you don't have to pull 500 from somewhere else, not the whole 15.
Right.
So it's, I think what it gets down to is figuring what you're comfortable with, get an account to a certain place and just make sure it stays there.
Yeah. And honestly, when it's stuff for your children though, I'm constantly putting money in there. Money's constantly going in and coming out. So like when they need clothes, money comes out of there.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
And so it's just like a funnel, right? But what I tell people is, okay, you may not be able to start right away doing 100. You might be able to, depending on your cash flow and your income and all. You may be, what? If we stop spending all this, then we could allocate all this money. I have a group program, the Sassy Money Mastermind, and one of the ladies that's in there, she went and did what I call the quarterly check. She went and pulled 3 months of her and her husband's personal accounts, and she come back and she went, "Holy crap, Lisa!" She said, "What he and I spend each month going out to lunch." She said, "We had to have a sit down," and she said it was the hardest thing I've ever done to have a honest heart-to-heart conversation. She says, "Not that we can't afford it." She said, "But we didn't realize how much money we were spending."
And we don't want to spend that much money. We just didn't know we were doing it.
And I told her, I said, "Here's the thing. You may have the money. Great. But I want you to be aware. So if you're aware that you're spending $500 a month going out to eat and you're okay with that, great.
Yeah.
But the key is actually knowing it and saying, I'm okay with it. Now, if you're not okay with it, then what can you do to put it to where you want it? And where do you want that other money to go?
Right.
And then that's where those buckets come in. I wasn't okay spending $300, $400 a month going out to eat. That doesn't mean I can afford it. I'm just not okay with it. So I decided how much would go into that account each month. And I decided what was going to be done with the other money because I was not okay with that. Right. So it's making the decision and being mindful and aware. And a lot of times because we swipe those cards so easily and freely, whether it's a debit card or a credit card,
it doesn't feel like it's real money.
Well, we're just also not aware, right?
Yeah.
Because we're not aware. We're not, $5 here, $5 there, oh, well, I just spent $4. Okay. But how many times this week have you spent $4? Right.
Yeah.
We're just not, it doesn't compute. And that's the reason why I tell my clients that it's so important to have a money management plan and have all those reoccurring expenses right smack on a spreadsheet together, and why it's so important to print your bank statements every 3 months. Don't do it on a computer, print it, hand to paper, and highlight it. Yep. And see where the money is going, because then it's eye to eye and you're like, okay, yes, I'm okay with this. No, I'm not okay with this. What do I need to do to change it? And you may not be able to start off, like I said, $100 a month into your kids' account. Okay. What can you put in there? Well, at least I could put 10. Okay, then start. But that's not much. It adds up. And when your kid needs a pair of shoes and you haven't touched that money and the shoes are $40 and you got $60 in that account, guess what? Pull a $40 and now you can go buy a pair of shoes and it's not stress on your shoulders.
Yeah.
So, and then gradually as you can, I've got an extra $5 or an extra $10 this month. You know what? I want it to go in this account, and you put it in that account. It brings you back to being empowered and you in control of where you want your money to go.
Well, because you get a paycheck, and whether it's somebody like myself where I get paid when I sell a house, so it could be 3 times a month or none for a month, right? And so, and they're different amounts. So, or you get a regular paycheck that's the same every 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. You still get that paycheck. And you still know, right? So you know what you need to do. I know I need X amount for utilities. I want to put X amount in for my car, X amount in for my kids, or X, whatever it is. And it's just sitting down at the beginning of every month or every time you're paid or however that looks to get those numbers into those bins.
And I think the virtual buckets are even more important for you.
Oh, absolutely. I do it all the time. I mean, I've got to pay my taxes. Right?
Yeah,
I've got to pay myself.
Business. Yep. So I tell people all the time with business, you need a tax savings account so that you got money going up. You need to have what I call it owner pay account. So when my business gets money, a certain amount goes into this owner pay account so that I can pay myself every 2 weeks or twice a month, and then money goes into the tax savings because I have to pay taxes. And then I also have business expenses. So I have to make sure that there's money in, the operating to pay the business expenses. And I tell people all the time, if you don't have multiple accounts for your business, at least go open up a tax savings. And they're like, but why?
Yes.
Because you
won't have the money at the end of the year. You know what? Here's a secret. I send every now and every month or two, I send money to the IRS. It's not about quarterly. It's not about saving it. It's about staying under their radar. Under their radar. First of all, I don't want them to know I exist.
They know you exist, by the way.
I don't want them to worry about me. I'm like that little kid that sits in the back of the room and does my work. Nobody has to worry about Robin.
But see, I tell people do it off of the gross, and they're like, why would I do that? Because if you wait until the net, you are not going to have the money. Nope. Period. Nope. If you wait until the end of the month for your net, you're not going to have anything in there. Plus, doing it off the gross gives you a cushion.
Yep.
And then at the end of the year, you've paid your quarterly taxes, and in the year you find out this is how much money you owe, and you only owe, say, $400, and you've got $1,000 in there. Well, guess what? Now you have a $600 bonus. Yep. Or you can take $300 and keep $300 in there to go towards next quarter.
Yep.
The key is you get to decide, right?
And it's not your CPA is not coming back at you going, All right. Well, because I wasn't doing this for
You owe
early on.
$6,000.
Yeah.
Like,
Only it was worse than that.
6,000.
It was like $14,000. And I'm like, well, I don't have that. And now I'm paying, so
I had a client, they
you
came
figure
back
it
and
out.
they told her that she owed like 60 grand. And she was
Holy.
like, well, you got to imagine now, she made good money though, that her business jumped. And she was like, but I don't have that. And that's not what you were, the CPA didn't tell her to adjust her quarterly things. And so when she came to me, I said, okay, we're going to do this differently. And so now she has more than enough money in this tax savings account that's not touched, so that when she has to make those payments, she can make those payments, because the IRS wants their money.
Yes, they do. And they're going to get it.
And the buckets just make life easier.
Yeah.
You don't have
because
to
it's a visual. Because it's a visual, right? It's like, okay, I know boom, boom, boom. And it's all there in front of you. And the money has, Gary Keller, who runs Keller Williams, make every dollar earn itself, right? Every dollar has a job. This dollar's going to go to the kids' account. This dollar, every dollar
should have a job. And the thing is, though, is that when we don't assign it jobs and we just put it in this one account, mark my words, I don't care who you are. You can prove me wrong if you want, but you're not going to be able to. The money just disappears, or it just sits and you do nothing with it because you're afraid you don't have enough money for your taxes. I have another client that was the case. She has all this money in one bucket and she didn't want to do anything because she didn't know if she had enough money. She had tons of money in the account, but she didn't know if she had enough money for taxes. And so when it sits in an account, it either disappears or it does nothing. So if we're able to allocate it to specific things and say, you are for my yearly expenses, you are for my tax savings, you are for me going on vacation, you're for paying myself every 2 weeks. You see what I'm saying? And then personally, when we say, okay, I've paid myself and I have this money, I want this to go here, I want this to go here, because I want to make sure that I can pay the car taxes if you have to pay those yearly like I do. If you have to pay, I don't know, some people pay insurance yearly. So if you have to pay insurance yearly, those are yearly expenses that aren't going to be in your monthly cash flow thing. Yeah. And they literally come back and they just make life hard when we don't account for them. And when we have these buckets, we're able to.
So let's talk about real quickly your mastermind.
Be the leader you know you can be. Build your professional network and access education that takes you where you want to go. We are women of all ages and backgrounds. You deserve national recognition and opportunities to build relationships with people you want to work and grow with. Hit the ground running with the Charisma chapter of the American Business Women's Association. Meetings each month from 6 to 8:30 p.m. on the fourth Tuesday in Farmers Branch, Texas, and online. Come with us. Experience ABWA for yourself. Go to charisma.abwa.org to learn more.
So let's talk about real quickly your mastermind. So you're starting another Sassy Money Mastermind in July. You limit it to 8 people. Mm-hmm. And so if people are interested, they can go ahead and get on a wait list right now. Is that right?
Yeah, we're going to launch it in July because we're celebrating my 50th birthday.
Congratulations.
So yay. So we're doing a pre-launch. We're doing a pre-launch to the pre-launch, I think is the way we're doing it.
Okay.
Because we're gonna have a whole bunch of different specials for the month of July, or actually throughout the year, but especially for the month of July, because I'm calling it the year 50. So I'm basically passing on savings to people, because to celebrate me turning 50. We'll actually the mastermind will actually start in September. The live launch is in August, but we're, like I said, because of my birthday, we're doing the pre, and that starts in July. And yes, they can get on the wait list. I actually have my team creating that list, the link for it, and sending it to me so that I can make sure everybody has it, because we wanted to make sure.
What is the mastermind? So what if I wanted to be a part of that? What are you going to make me do?
The Sassy Money
Because you know
Mastermind.
that's what everybody's asking. It's like,
Right,
oh, that sounds
what exactly
interesting.
are
It's like,
you going to make
what are you
me
going to
do?
make me do
I'm
to
gonna
make me do right?
I'm gonna make your money sassy. I'm gonna help you make your money sassy. The Sassy Money Mastermind is 12-week program, so it's a group program. It's limited to 8. And the first 6 weeks, we dive into money stories, the stories that we were told when we were little, the stories our society tells us, the stories, we tell ourselves. And then we work on changing them. What do we want our stories to be? And then, like right at the third and fourth week, we're looking at how money mindset and money management go hand in hand. You've heard me say this like 1,000 times, I know, Robin.
It's okay.
It does. It goes hand in hand,
Yes,
right?
it does.
And so then those last 6 weeks is we go into the money mindset, money management going hand in hand, and then we go into money management. And the money management piece is looking at your numbers, doing the deep dive, like the quarterly check I talked about where they pull 3 months. We're doing a deep dive. Then we also do one. I'll tell you that one module is called good debt, bad debt, and everything in between, because I believe there's a difference between good debt and bad debt. And I don't believe all debt is bad. So we go into that. We talk about how you can get your debt manageable. And then we also, the last module is where we talk about making sure that our spending is aligned with our goals and values, because a lot of times they're not. Yeah. And if we can align them, then that also helps with your money mindset, which helps with your money management. So, I mean, that's it. I mean, it's a lot of deep diving. It's some of it's emotional, some of it's.
I was just going to say, I bet there's some tears. I bet there's some tears.
I think there's been.
I mean,
it's
because it gets real raw and personal, right? Yeah. Vulnerability there is because you're having to really acknowledge either maybe that you just don't know. We don't know if we weren't taught, and somebody, and people will beat themselves up. I should have known this, and that never should have happened, and that, and they should all over themselves.
And one of the things, right. When in fact they're not alone. So one of the things that I stress on the group program is confidentiality. Everything that happens in that group must stay in the group. Nothing is talked about outside the group. The members have to agree to that as well. Then what we also created to help with the confidentiality and to show them that we actually do care, and if they're nervous about sharing or asking a question, we created an anonymous form. So anyone can fill out the anonymous form to ask the question, and it's sent to me in an email, and then I ask the question and we go over it. And what I found is when I do, other participants will come up and say, oh, you know what, I see this and I feel this, and I can actually say that I've, people are finding, the ladies in my group right now are finding that they're not alone.
Right.
That their money stories are maybe slightly different, and their current money situations may be different, but they're finding that they're not alone in the thinking that they should have known better, or they're not alone in the fact that they're not perfect with their money, or they're not alone in the fact that they've had debt. There's no judgment. And they're finding that they're actually having people who actually understand. And then sometimes some of those participants are actually able to see something and suggest something that I may not see. So I think that makes it even better. And, I allow them to, okay, does anyone else have a suggestion, for this? And if they do, they pipe up and, they talk, because we have, there's 6 modules. Each module is 2 weeks, and we have 12 coaching calls during that time each week. There's integration weeks in there, but we have 12 coaching calls. And I have found that during those coaching calls, that's really, really helping people, the ladies, be able to see, you know what, I can change this. I
Well, and it's
can
community,
make it
right?
for the better. Mm-hmm.
It's in community. And I think hard things are easier to get through in community of kind of like-minded people, people that are kind of in the same place and struggling with some of the same things,
Mm-hmm.
because like you said, you're not alone,
But we're also
and
afraid to
everybody's
ask
got a
for
different.
help.
Yeah. We never ask for help.
And we're
Women don't
afraid of
ask for
being
help.
judged. We're afraid
Yep.
of being judged. We're afraid to ask for help. We're afraid for us to talk about money. And so that's the whole reason why I created the program, is because, again, I think the taboo of talking about money needs to go the hell away. We need to talk about money, just like we need to talk about mental health and, all those
Yep.
things. The taboo needs to go away. And so creating this program is my way of saying, okay, you know what, we can come together. And the reason why I limit it to 8 is so that it's more of a what's the word I'm looking for? So it's not a large program and you don't feel seen. I want you to feel seen. I want it to be close knit.
But you want relationships to form,
and I
because
can
that
also
trust.
right. And I can also provide more one-on-one
Yeah.
with them, and there be more interaction. And so that's why I've limited it to 8.
So this, like I said, I like having, Lisa's been on before, and we're going to have her on again.
Yay!
Because what she says is important. And I think we've got so many people that, whether you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, or work within a corporate, or you work for someone else, an employee,
a
a single
or not
mom,
a single mom,
recently
whatever.
divorced, where now things are all very different. It's important to hear somebody, or know that there's somebody out there that can help you figure it out in your head.
And it's not
what needs to be done,
telling you what to do who's never been there. I think that's my issue I have with a lot of the gurus out there, is because, it's easy for them to say, don't do that. But when you're in the thick of things and you having trouble putting food on the table, or you're having trouble, making sure that you're paying the bills, and you think you're doing everything right, but you're doing the best you can, and you want someone to help you, but you don't want someone to judge you. And when you have big gurus over here, a lot of times it feels like you're being judged. Trust me, I know, because that's how I felt. It's, in my opinion, it's important that it be someone, and that's the reason why I've been so adamant about it. I've been there. So when I say I understand, I mean it. I'm not just saying it because I think it can be changed. I know it can be changed. I know, depending on your circumstances, it may take a little bit longer, right? But it can still be changed. It's just a matter of, one, are you wanting to? Because I can tell you now, if you don't want to change, then nothing's going to change, right?
Yeah.
That
goes with anything.
Right. But the whole thing is knowing that there's someone out there who gets it and who does understand. And if you get nothing else from this, just know you're not alone.
Yeah.
That
no judgment, you're not alone.
There's a light at the end of that tunnel. And you're not alone.
So, all right. Well, I want to thank you for coming back on the show. I really appreciate it. All of Lisa's contact information, of course, is in the show notes, so that you can reach out to her if you want to ask or find out more about that Sassy Money Mastermind.
Right.
Mastermind
I think the name's going to
class.
change, but for now we'll leave it.
We'll just call it that.
For now,
get in touch with her. I think what she does is really important, and I think what she does is just so profoundly needed in this world today.
Mm-hmm.
Not just women, but we're going to focus on women. But for everybody. And whether, like we said, whether you are a single mom, you are recently divorced, you are whatever your situation may be.
You're married and you're the breadwinner.
You're married and you're buried.
Right.
It doesn't matter. It's just opening your eyes and having the guts to say, I need help.
Mhm.
And Lisa is a great place to find that help.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. And thanks again for listening and tuning in to another episode of Relax, I Got This. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss a conversation. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us for Crushing It With Your Tribe with Texas Realtor Robin McCoy. Check out all the show notes for contact information on Robin and her guests and to access your free resources and information discussed on this episode. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a conversation. Thanks again, and we will see you next time on Crushing It With Your Tribe with Robin McCoy.